Thank you so much, Ankita, for joining us today in this conversation.
Hi, John.
Yes, I would like to begin with asking you about your perspective on some of the current trends that you see in audience engagement across firms that you can see.
It's interesting you say, in the current few years, I think there are four key trends that kind of come to my mind as I'm thinking about this. One is around, real-time insights, integrating real-time insights into your audience research work, into your behavioral aspects. I think with digital platforms, especially after COVID, where everything has gone digital, everything that you used to do otherwise offline has now gone digital. And so that has given us the opportunity to actually collect a lot of data, which we were not privy to. And so to be able to integrate that data from different sources, websites, social media, CRM systems, any third-party tools that we use into providing real-time insights has become a big key trend in audience research right now. I also think that with Gen Z kind of entering the market, that's another piece where we need to really look at behaviors to inform our marketing strategy, because now a lot of what we do is so sentiment driven versus, a person who was 30 years of age, was probably a male, an earning member of the family, now may have a different motivation from the person living next to his house, his neighbor. So that's another aspect that we are seeing as a key trend in audience research. I think privacy is something that's come up very big in the last few years. I know GDPR came into like a fully blown effect in 2018, but I know so many global brands have kind of adopted it as a global policy. So despite the fact that India does not have a very stringent GDPR regulation, I know that global brands are now kind of adhering to GDPR policies, and it's more consent-driven marketing than anything else. And so, as you are collecting data, you need to be very transparent in terms of, we are going to collect your data to do XYZ set of activities. And considering that the internet right now is global, right? It's worldwide, and it's not just located or situated for just one location. It's important that you take into account that someone could be based out of anywhere accessing your platform. And so you need to be very cognizant of these privacy policies, etc. And then I think the fourth point is just the fact that there needs to be culture sensitivity. So, as we look into marketing into different countries, different locations, you need to be cognizant that there are cultural nuances to every area that we go into. So what might work in North America may not necessarily work in Europe region. What might work in a Europe region that speaks French may not necessarily work in Canada, which is also a hugely French-speaking country.
So that was quite an insight into the latest trends. Now, you were mentioning about some of these foreign companies. So I guess that you also are assisting some of these global companies when it comes to entering India and stuff. So in that sense, do you find a gap between how it was earlier and how it is now?
One of the key things when people think about entering the Indian market is they think that it's a very homogeneous market, right? And that's one of the biggest myth, I think, that people have, that India is homogeneous in nature. It isn't. There is so much cultural diversity, honestly, in India. The fact that I was just sharing with you earlier, I shuffle between Delhi and Bangalore. You need to really understand that India is comprised of multiple cities, multiple cultures, multiple languages, multiple consumer behavior. And so as a foreign firm, when you are thinking about India as a market, you cannot think about India as a single market. You need to understand that there is cultural diversity in this market. I think, a lot of firms kind of make that mistake of assuming that India is probably a single market and we need to approach it with a certain mindset. That's not the case. You have people who are now exposed to a whole host of things, and then yet there is a section of the country which is not. There is a company that Indians kind of were aping to a certain extent through it's a beauty product. And so we had a product range like that. And now the original, the mother company is wanting to enter India, and they have done the same strategy in terms of launching sachets and mini products, just so that you can tell the difference between what is being offered in India versus what they kind of bring to the table. And it's interesting they're doing that because you would then build loyalty to the product. And that's where I said, if your value and the quality that you deliver is of top notch, people are willing to shell out a few hundred more bucks in order to get the product versus live with something which was substandard.
Another advancement in technology that we can't ignore is the AI's entry into research.
Oh
So
my God.
how do you view it? I mean, there are a lot of angles that you can look at from an AI's perspective, and its impact on audience research as well as marketing. So you could touch upon anything that is related to AI and its impact on marketing. So yes.
It's interesting you say that because at my work, I'm trying to incorporate some of the Gen AI tools into what we do. And I think AI has such a huge impact on just everything that we do right now, right? I mean, it's not just marketing, but everything that is happening in the world. Marketing definitely is not left behind. Marketing as a platform needs to always keep up in terms of, the approach that we have towards just about everything, just to consumer behavior. And AI is such a useful tool to understand all of that. And it can supplement some of the human insights that you can generate. So I think AI can enhance that element of audience research, of automating some amount of data collection, because you can put people at it, but AI can do that a little faster in terms of pulling the data from different platforms so that you have the data collected and collated in one place. I think it should be used very carefully, because I think AI's implementation across marketing or across audience research into what I do, it's very important that we kind of use it as a tool that supplements some of the human insights, but is not used as the only tool to capture everything that we need. There has to be a way to kind of calibrate that data that comes in from them.
Is there a threat at the end of the day that humans will be losing that capability to come up with a kind of a different question or a different answer, and then AI takes over?
It can definitely happen, right? So, you have so many interviews where you are kind of interviewing with almost an AI interface. You have these tools cropping up and they are trying to go through your resume as well as your profile to pick up keywords that they feel is relevant. And then that's how you're being shortlisted in real time. That said, a human element is needed because oftentimes keywords as well as, elements that you kind of program into your AI to look for may not necessarily give you the ideal candidate that you actually need. So there's always a human element to oversee all of this. If we do not have that, it's definitely a threat to originality.
Unlike earlier at the beginning of social media, now there is a more, you people can buy audiences.
Right.
For example, Instagram, you can buy people. So, account,
Yes,
bot, or whatever.
yes.
So, in marketing, could be a problem that you are facing, especially when you deal with clients. So, how do you resolve this situation?
Social media performances often are measured based on just views and likes, right? And they aren't always telling of someone's actual intent to buy or someone's actual intent to engage, because just because they are liking your article or just because they are looking at your article does not necessarily mean that they would be interested or they have the buying capacity. And so what is important is to do that analysis of the audience. There are agencies that you can now work with to understand if your influencers that you are working with have the right audience mix. So, you can basically go in and tell them that the target audience that you are looking for belongs to this age group. This is your ideal customer profile. And so then these agencies do the due diligence in terms of figuring out where do these people sit, what are the channels that they use, who are the key influencers in this kind of activity that you should then work with to promote your product. There are tools in the market that can also do this analysis for you in terms of, evaluating if you have the right set of people in your newsletter subscription list, or in your Instagram follower list, or your Facebook follower list. So use those tools, use these agencies to figure out if your target audience is where these people claim they are. Just don't go behind numbers blindly, because numbers can be deceiving.
Great. That was a very stimulating conversation that we had, Ankita.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Great
so much
talking
for
to
your
you.
time. Yes.
Bye-bye.